Hi, hi, hi. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are all over the world. Whew, I am super excited to be back here and to be doing the marriage series. Today we are on episode 2. Welcome, 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 everybody. Thank you for everyone who is already live. Thank you so much for being here. Guys, I hope your week was good. So let me do a quick one. Last week, remember we had Pastor Ishala and Doris family Lucy. Well, my take home was that I would give my husband space. Remember, she said that men bond, and I think by when you do things together, and then women connect by talking. So I tried that, and I think it worked. I really think it worked. Now today, oh guys, the couple that is coming on, I am more excited than you. I'm confident. It is going to be amazing. So please invite your friends, share, share, share. Tell people that we're here. Let's know in the comment chat whether you can hear, whether it's loud enough, and all is well. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me, Dr. Uvie and Olawunmi Brigue. I'm clapping.
Hi.
Hello.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
They look lovely, then.
You can hear us, can you?
Perfect.
Excellent, excellent. It's a pleasure to be here, and we're looking forward to an exciting time. We pray that it's going to be very, very fruitful for everyone.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the
for
privilege.
this opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like them. Can you see how I'm just gushing? I'm sitting and just staring. I love them. You don't understand. People, they don't understand how much I love them. It's just one of those, honestly. So welcome, Matt. Thank you, everybody. Yes, my Lerato. Yes. Now I want to read out something to you. And I think that this is it's an important statistics. So skills in parenting, in being family, and in being a couple are learned skills. No one is simply given a strong spiritual foundation of skills for marriage and family. They must be learned.
Absolutely.
This is so I'm reading, you know me, I'm forever reading, but I'm doing a research right now, and this is on a family-friendly church, but I'm doing a research on equipping parents and all of that for lives of children. And I found that, and that's actually, there's a whole lot of statistics, and what's his name now? Friedenberg has written such a powerful book, and it made me start thinking about learning about skills in marriage. So today we're here watching the super people. Allow me and Dr. Uvie, please tell us a little about yourselves. Let me not be the one saying things that, I don't like to pick up things on the internet and stuff. I want people to just hear directly from you. So tell us about yourselves.
The ladies first.
Okay. Well, my name is Olawunmi Brigue, and I'm a wife. I'm a mother. And in terms of my work, I'm a transformational life coach, and and I run I run an online business, so a women's community, a community for Christian women called SuperAbundant Woman, or SO for short. And yeah, it's pretty much my passion in life is essentially helping people fulfill their potential. I believe that what Christ has given us, he gave it to us for free. So why should I go through life and not experience something that someone pays such a huge price for? So that's me. I'm very excited, and I'm very passionate about Christians living their full potential.
Yes. Can I go on?
Yeah.
My name is Uvie. I am a father. I am a husband, and I currently am a medical practitioner and anesthetist, and I pastor at the Covenant Nation UK in London here. And it's interesting, our passions are similar. My whole desire really is to empower people to become all that God has created them to be and to fulfill their full potential. In fact, the scriptures are the same, isn't it?
Yeah,
Exactly the same.
same.
Yes. The scripture that
Tell
defines
us the scripture. Oh yeah, tell us. This love on air. Tell us the scripture.
It's
Is it a private scripture? For
well, it's not
private
private. It's so for things like, arise and shine, let your light shine, for the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Nations will come to your life. So it's things like that. It's for me. It's and I remember this is something that God put in me very early on. I remember the early days in university when I started walking with God. He would be showing me these things, and I'll be like, me that I don't know anything, but it's interesting. It's interesting because we just see it the same way in the sense that there's an inheritance. There's a huge, wonderful inheritance that God has put in every human being. And when we come to Christ, we should not allow ourselves to live life without actually allowing the Holy Spirit to bring out that inheritance. Because when it comes, it's going to be bigger than you. It's not so, okay, I want a car, I want a house. All of that is part of it, but it's going to be way bigger, where other lives are going to be transformed and impacted as well.
Absolutely. And marriage is about assignment. It's not just people coming together. I mean, the enjoyment, the fun is part of it, but it's more about an assignment that God has given to people to accomplish certain things on the earth. So that's it. And once we understand that and we begin to flow in that direction, then God begins to take us into greater heights.
I like that. I just like your intro that marriage is an assignment. It's funny. When I was younger, I got born very early, but people say some of these things, you're like, yeah, I just want to fall in love, and whoever and I are just going to travel the world. I'm like, all these assignments, these are big things. I just want to have fun. But the older I've gone, I've become, the more I just realize it's actually true. It's more than falling in love, actually, and it's even more than staying in love.
Yeah.
It's a far bigger concept and idea, because it's also God ordained. Yeah, I believe it's really it's a different kind of relationship that continues to evolve over time.
Right.
So anyway, let's not go into my thinking and my philosophy, because now, for those who are watching for the first time, I'm a family life enthusiast. People ask me what I do, and I do a lot of things, a couple of things, but I've summed it up, my assignment for the next, I don't know, until God says differently, as a family life enthusiast. And that means that I study, I observe, I look for people. I'm constantly learning on how to make my family life first better, and then how to then send that message out and say, guys, see, I met these people, they can be a blessing. I met the Brigues, they can be a blessing. I've read a book, I'm doing like I've got a few books here, Love and Respect, such an amazing book,
Yes.
all sorts of things, right? It's that kind of thing that I do. So, all right. So now that we've met each other again, Paula, stop gushing. Let's go. So tell me, both of you, what season are you in your marriage? What would you say your season is in marriage? And I'm going to just make it just both of you so that everybody just sees your faces. I'll remove myself as you tell us what season you are in your marriage. Yeah.
Okay.
You go first.
You go first.
Okay. Marriage is a constant learning experience, I would say. And like I was telling, the seasons come and go. It's like a cyclical thing. And it's almost like you're climbing a step. So you have the steep part of the step, you have the flat part of the step, you now go to another steep part of the step, a flat part of the step. So it's a constant process where seasons come and go. But what I would say is for us, the first maybe year of marriage is a year of where you begin to adapt to one another. And, there's friction in the sense that you have two people coming from completely different perspectives. Two people coming from different perspectives, and they are merging together, both emotionally, but you're coming from people that have come from different backgrounds, different experiences, different philosophies, different experiences. They're coming together and merging together. And that first year for us was a merger. And ours was peculiar.
No, I'm listening.
Ours was peculiar in the sense that people get married, they do maybe honeymoon, which we did for first year. They are saying, okay, we'll start having children after a year. Let us travel the world. But you're coming to marriage with children.
Yes.
5-year-old and my son was 12-year-old.
Yeah.
So you are coming in with children. So you don't have that liberty of honeymoon. You get straight to work almost immediately.
Yeah.
So you're merging your own differences, and you're merging the differences of the children, and you're merging the children together. So you have 3 layers there. So first year was year of adaptation. Yes.
It was I think more than adaptation. It was, for me, it was I would call it the year of conflict, because I'm like,
really?
God, yes, because I'm like, God, you have to come and sort this. You have to come and sort this one out too, because you're in love and everything, but I think, especially because I didn't get married at 20. I got married in my 30s. For someone that is fairly independent, or very independent, if I'm being truthful, you're quite set in your ways. I want to do something, I just get up and I do it.
Right.
Now, married thing, like, you have to talk about it, you have to, hey, let's discuss. When we're discussing it, I've already the thing is done. So it took a lot of humility. That's humbling myself, and I think the biggest shift, and we'll probably come to that, but if the season we're in now is more of you understand. I think the key thing is we understand each other, and we know how God deals with us.
Yeah.
We also understand that regardless of what conflict might come in, it's not going to be like a big thing, because you know how to deal with it straight away. You know how to say, now let's talk about it now. So it's, but I think for in whatever season you're in marriage, I personally believe that we believe that is a season of growth. You just keep growing regardless.
I think it's more like a faith project in the sense that's how I see it. Like people separate, and people feel that, okay, you're believing God for a career, a job, you have scriptures. Marriage is the same thing. It's even more important in that sense to have certain things that you are declaring over your wife and husband, because you have to have it over the children, because it's almost like a faith project as well. So you have to have that in every season. Our marriage, we had certain scriptures that actually formed the foundation for our marriage, that constituted even the relationship between us and the children together, merging as one. So it's so important. It's not, you can have scriptures for a career. Why not the marriage? Why not the marriage?
Okay. Wow. You guys, you can see that we're in for a fantastic chat, right? So let me just already tell you, people are here. This is a personal friend of mine. She's the Reverend here, because I live here in South Africa. She's so cool. There's Tolu saying hi, Kemi saying hi. People saying welcome. Oh, they're saying yes, you do. You look beautiful, all of that. And then people are saying true seasons in marriage. So just for you to know, we have quite a number of people already on, like talking and already engaging. Guys, I want you to already start throwing in your questions. I've got mine. And this is not just about me. If not, I'll just be sitting there learning, writing down. By the way, I keep writing down so that I learn things and then I can go and use in my home. That's really the essence of this. Okay, so let's go to some juicy, fun parts. Okay, so me, I remember first time I heard about Olawunmi, a friend of mine had told me about her. I'm like, please, yeah. And then I listened to her first podcast. I'm like, what? Wait, what did you say her name is again? Not Omar. Okay, let me write it down. And then I began to listen. And I'm like, what depth of wisdom. And then I realized there are a few people that I know that, who know her, that she knows. I'm like, oh, great, even better. But, I think, and I must tell you guys, because sometimes people ask me, some people are wondering, how do I choose the people that I choose? First of all, the Lord leads me. Secondly, I had a desire. I saw her and I thought, I would actually love to have this person have a conversation with me, with her husband, because whoever is married to this beautiful woman must have sense. There's no way. And I think women, men and women, your partner is a reflection of you. So for people who use bad words on their partner, that's just who you are. Like, it's a reflection of your level of your thinking, your spirituality, I promise you. And honestly, I am so thrilled that, I've then had a few conversations with you and now with both of you. And for me, I thought, well, how at 30, whatever, in her late 30s, did she know that this is the person? So, my fun question for both of you, and I want Dr. Uvie to answer first. This one is not ladies first. We are going first. How did you know she was the one? And we're going to talk about the peculiarities, because that's why we brought you both, particularly for matured singles, for widows, for people who've lost a loved one, for people who are single parents, But I just want to know, before we start going into all the deep stuff, how did you know she was the one? Last week, we had people picking flowers, and that's how they knew. I'm like, what?
Okay.
All right. Okay. I'll tell you a story. I mean, I was married before, so my first wife sort of passed away, and after that season, we had a son, and I didn't. In fact, I remember I come back from the airport from Nigeria after the funeral. I said, I don't think I'm doing this again. I'm going back to London, face ministry, take care of my son. That was my mindset. So I came back, and I was out of work for like a year, so I just came back. I locked myself in a room, sort of, and all I was doing was fasting, prayer, meditating, and for 3 solid months, I wasn't going to work. That's all I was doing, preparing messages, praying, and I locked myself there. So God was showing me something. He said, look, he showed me some scriptures. He said, look, when your first wife is with me, she's with me. He says, Paul said, it is expedient for me that I go, right? That I'm with the Lord. It's good for me. But for you, it is needful that I'm with you. So he said it was more expedient for her that she's with me. In that sense, God was saying that. But for us, it was needful for her to be with us. So for her, she is in the best place where she can be currently. But for us, it was needful for her to be with us. But her going has created a need in our lives. This was exactly what he was telling me. And there's a vacuum. You can't deny it. He now said, how would that vacuum be filled? Not with marriage. He said, my God shall supply that need according to his riches in glory. That's what he told me. So he said, just stay in the place of prayer. I was praying and praying and praying. And all of a sudden, I started having, after like a few months, honestly, I started having the incline again to get married. I said, where? I said, no. This is what I mean, God, relax first. This is serious. That's when God began to tell me this is not about, it's about assignment.
Right.
It's about assignment. It's about assignment. There's a work to be done. There's an assignment to carry out. And inside that assignment, you're going to meet someone and, that assignment. So I just kept on going, doing my meeting, doing my work and teaching in church, not working yet with my son. So we had this adjustment we wanted to make in church regarding an outreach. We wanted to start outreach, evangelism, and welcoming people. So there was a welcome team. So there was another pastor who I invited to the house, and Olawunmi was the second person. So she came with her daughter. So what happened there was so the pastor couldn't make it.
Praise God. God, I just thank you.
So
take them away.
So he came and we're discussing the thing. So honestly, I can't really explain it to you today, but when she stepped in and we began to talk, I'd hardly had 3 or 4 conversations with her as I hardly knew her. You know, as soon as she stepped in my heart, she looked completely. I just knew she was the one. I've been seeing her before. No, it's not. This is how I'm just being real. I knew she was the one. You know, I just felt this is your wife.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. So we discussed. I gave her. We discussed about this thing. Then the interesting thing is, in my mind, I felt she wasn't ready or wasn't interested in marriage. I just felt it. That's what I felt. I just felt. I said, in fact, these were the thoughts. I'm being real here. These were the thoughts that came to my mind. The thoughts were, because we discussed some things about her daughter and going to school. She said her daughter goes to school by herself, and that she said, this is the thing. I said, in my mind, I was saying, how can you let her go at this young age? She said, that I've made some arrangements with God, that I and God are very tight, that nothing moves without a conversation with God. I said, okay. In my mind, I said, okay, this one, it has to be the Lord that will speak to her. You cannot do any operation here, any words of eloquence or any toasting here. It's the
Flowers
Lord.
won't work.
It won't work for her. The way I see her, and I don't even know if she's interested in myself. I left it at that, and I went on. So time went on. I had it in my heart. I just prayed about it. One day, is this thing follow up? This thing is this thing the same thing or this same follow up thing? This same evangelism thing. So it was after the church service. So what happened was this is real now. What happened was she now said okay that she's developed a confession for the first time as in church. I said okay because in my mind I said I knew, but in my mind I said she's not ready for marriage. She doesn't want to get married. She's a serious Christian. This one is, I mean, when you look at that, this one is solid. I mean, just leave her alone.
When a pastor says somebody's a solid Christian, I'm afraid of you.
No, she's solid. So she said she's not the confession. She gave me, I took her phone. This was after service. She said, okay, this is the confession for the first time. So I took the phone, and as I was reading through the phone, I was reading the confession. She told me that's what I was doing later. I don't know why. I started scrolling the phone. See me, I was scrolling a sister's phone. Why?
Allow me.
So I was scrolling on the phone, I scrolled on it, and I saw my husband is strong, he fears the Lord. As soon as I saw it,
as in
her confession, I said, okay. No, the thing about it, what happened there was that, okay, at least she's interested in marriage, okay. So that cleared my mind. I was like, okay, when I said, oh, okay, that means she's not adverse to the marriage idea. Okay, so I gave her a phone quickly. She said she was wondering why. She said, why on earth did you scroll my? She didn't tell me then, so I gave it back to her in my heart. I said, okay, yes, we're on this track now. So basically, I left it at that, and I kept on praying. It was later she told me that she had the same thing in her heart. I didn't know that. Okay, let her say.
What did you know? I like you.
And I eventually it was on the phone. I was speaking to her. We're sharing.
No,
we're talking.
We're
texting, and it was about Higgins. She was asking me a question about what the difference is between confession. When you're saying, do you confess the scriptures or do you confess? Do you make declaration on the scriptures or the confessions you've written from the scripture? What do you meditate on? So I was trying to explain.
People remember.
I remember clearly. So kept on texting back and forth. You know, all of a sudden, I said, it's time to do this. It's time to obey the Lord. So I said, I have to ask you a question. And you won't believe the question. You know, I said, in fact, in my mind, I was still thinking. She said, what? Ask. I said, She said that she will ask. But in my mind, I was thinking, if I ask, this question, wouldn't she feel, that's the state of mind, wouldn't she feel betrayed? That maybe she's just looking for, we're just chatting as friends. If I say, I want to marry you, that kind of thing, will it betray the trust she has in me? That's what I was thinking. That's to show you how I saw her. I mean, I didn't think that she was interested, really. Even though I saw that confession about my husband, I was still. So I first said, let me use this, because to be honest, this is true. I said, your hair, is that your hair? I'm into
I'm about to turn you from here. What?
No. The hair, I was intrigued by the hair. On that day she came, I was intrigued. I said, this hair, I haven't seen anybody with this kind of hair. I said, is this your hair? And she said, yes, I have. I now said, to be honest with you, I love you. After that, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I mean, that's what I did. I just did it there. I said, I'm doing it, and I'll let her continue the story from there.
Yeah. You know what, Dr. Uvie, you see why I love both of you. I'm coming to UK just to visit both of you. I've made up my mind.
And so that's what I asked. And I just said it
You
there.
used hair to enter.
No, the hair was, I was intrigued by the hair.
It's okay, Pastor, the hair. Can you see people laughing at you? The hair. That's good. Okay, so now you've just made it so beautiful. There are two questions I'm going to actually ask you. Because, and this really speaks to mature singles, okay? How did you know? One, but I want you to link it to, and I've heard you on the podcast say somebody has said to you, you didn't come across as somebody who wanted to be in a relationship. And then your husband, you could have missed him out of the guy being afraid. Thank God for hair. Thank God for pastors that were missing on the day of follow-up. Thank God for, it's not, we would not be here. So I want you to actually tell us, especially for mature singles, what vibes? How do you see what I'm saying? So we're already going deep now. So
how did I know that he was one? Like he said, I think for me, I'm not, even though I recommend it, I'm not going to say that that's going to be everybody's path or pathway. But I think based on my own history, all right, based on where I had come from, I went to God and I said, I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing this whole, anyone that I go into a relationship with is the one.
Right.
That's the person I'm going to marry. I'm not doing, okay, let's date, let's see how it goes. Let's, whatever it is. I said, I'm not doing that. I have to know for certain before I commit to anything. And if I do, I know that that's the one. So I had a list because for me, it was no longer, for me, it had passed the whole, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. I had seen is not enough. It's not enough for you to say, we fell in love. You can still hurt each other. The thing can still scatter, etc. So for me, it had to be deeper than I fell in love with you or we both fell in love. So there were certain things. This was years before we even connected in that way. I had written down and I said, okay, God, this is what I'm looking for. And I encourage everyone, people that are ladies that are single. In fact, my daughter is 17 and I think she wrote her list like 2 years ago, as in something like that. And what is the list? The list is basically, I teach something called, rocks, pebbles, and sand. So the rocks are the core values. What cannot not be present in this person or in this relationship? The pebbles are also important, etc. So I began to write down and I said, these are the things. Apart from my heart is doing bish, what else? If one of these rocks or core values are missing, no, it's not happening. Right? So I wrote everything. And the interesting thing is, in fact, I wrote the list and I forgot about it. As in, it was in my mind, but it wasn't like I was carrying the list every day and say, okay, I just literally wrote it down in one of my diaries, my journals, and it was later after we got married because I wrote it from what was in my heart. I didn't want to copy from anywhere. I just articulated what I saw. It was after we had married that I was just going through some of my journals, and then I happened on that list, and I was like, oh my God. I showed the list to my husband that, as in literally, there was only one thing. And I'm talking, there were 88 things on that list.
There were how many?
88.
Olawunmi. Why? Why?
He's a big God. We limit God.
I love that.
We limit God. It's okay. She is born again. Okay, let's go. No.
88.
Yeah. And only one thing. And I realized that the one thing was, in fact, I'm like, where did you even get this one? Do you understand? So, I'm like, this is what I want. This is what I desire. If I don't have this, it is better for me to enjoy my life as a single person. As a single person, loving God, pursuing my purpose, raising my daughter. It is better for me. It's not like they're killing me. They say, of course, there was pressure. My mother used to call me almost every day and say she has dreamt, all those things. So
Mommy, we love you. Well done for dreaming, Mommy.
So, but anyway, I was content. Not to say that I didn't want to get married. Of course, I wanted to get married. I desired it, but I was like, I want it done right, and I'm not going to settle for anything less than that, no matter how long it took. I think I settled that within myself, and there was also the assurance of God's love. I knew that God loved me so much that He was not going to deny me of what it is I wanted. So, how did I know it was Him? When God began to speak to me, and it was a very peculiar thing. I never expected that it would be someone who had been married before. It had never entered my mind. So when God began to speak to me, I'm like, God, out of all the no, I'm a judge kind of person. I don't like trouble. I don't like wahala, Why now? Why? For me, it was just like, my goodness. What
was your fear?
It was more of, the thing that surrounded, the people, as in,
right.
Okay, this one, and because I was in the church, right. He was my pastor. Even though we went, I'm a very sort of private. I'm the kind of person that once service is finished, then 5 minutes. Hello, I'm gone. He said we had probably had 3 or 4 conversations since I'd been in that church. So I kept myself. I mingled with people, but so I felt my integrity. I didn't want anything that would question my integrity, to say, hey, this one chased this one. We ran after this person. Hey, I didn't want anything to question my integrity. That was the main thing. I said, God, why? Why? So I was like, okay. But because I know God, and I don't enter into anything until God shows me clearly. That's the kind of agreement that I have with God. I don't just do things. Sometimes if I run ahead, I'm like, okay, sorry, I'll come back. Oh, yeah, come and tell me. So, he began to tell me, like, when it was clear to me that that's what he was saying. So I just basically said to him, I said, I'm not going to touch this in my thoughts, in my actions, or with anything. So I'm going to continue with my life as normal. I'm not going to start fantasizing or thinking about it. I said, I'm not touching it with any fiber of my being. I'm not touching my thoughts. I'm not telling anybody. I'm not going to think about it. And certainly I'm not going to act in that direction. I'm not going to carry on.
So you knew?
I knew. Other when it was coping the head. I knew. But again, remember, I'm like, God, I'm not doing this. Is you. And then, so I think you have to satisfy me too. You can't just point somebody out and say, that's your husband. What if we're not compatible? What if we can't talk? What if you sit down and person say, I talk now? You say, you two talk now, talk now. So these things are important to me. I said, God, I have to test for myself and see that the things that are important to me are in place. So when that happened in a chance meeting, when I went over and, like he said, the person didn't turn up and we ended up just talking. And it was at that point that I saw that, okay, It's not just this is your husband kind of thing. It was like, oh my goodness, I really enjoyed talking to this person. We had a wonderful time together. Just talking about Hagin. You understand? So
I do.
And when the whole texting thing, I knew in advance, and my heart was settled because I saw, from afar, I had, you know somebody's character. I'm like, okay, God, okay, you did well.
But now, Olawunmi, do you know what I love about your stories? And I hope that, and I mean, I've allowed us to dwell on this because this is part of your his and hers. Because this series is not just for people who are married, it's even for people who are trying to encourage other people. I mean, I have people in my life who are mature singles, and sometimes you don't know what to say. And sometimes people settle for less because, oh, you are now almost 40. You are now what. So just anything in trousers, go for it. Anything in skirt is fine. And I'm glad that you did not, like, somebody is saying here, you didn't settle for less. Simple. You just really took your time. And I think that's just a word for somebody out there. Not just because in everybody's eyes it looks like it's late, don't mean that you should then settle for less. I mean, both of you, I can already see both of you, like gushing over each other. Imagine you just marry one guy that will just put you in one corner and say, yes, have fun with your life whilst we move on. That would just be terrible. But now I want you, Olawunmi, quickly help me touch on, because now I'm going to fire both of you questions if you don't mind. And people, if you have questions for them, please. Like somebody is saying here, my needs are also met in God's plans. And that's so important because it's not just God said and then you're like, God, how far? So, but tell me, why did people, and even your fiancé, why did he think that you were not ready? What is that?
So you did say that. I forgot to answer that. I think for me, because I wasn't looking, so it might be a bit weird to say that. I don't know. I think I had settled. I had entered into rest, if that makes sense. I had entered into a place of rest as far as God was, marriage was concerned, that this thing, is going to happen and it's going to be beautiful because that is what I desire. And I know that God is not going to withhold any good thing from me. Right. Someone might look at that. I think part of that is, it's all about perspective. I see it as, listen, the wrong person, do you understand, will not come near you. The wrong person will not come near you. Because when the right person came, the thing did not chase him away. Do you understand? As in, it still happened. God still orchestrated it for it to happen. So for me, it's even an assurance that if I'm doing something, if I'm seeking God for something, I only need to focus on Him. People might look at me, and I think a lot of times when people look, I look like I was enjoying my life. I look like I was settled. People used to say things like that. This one is too settled. She's not even looking like she's needing somebody. That's what a lot of people used to say. She just looks like she's happy, she's content, she's progressing in her career. And I think people's perception is, you have to sort of look available. I did not look available because I'm not available to anybody. If God wants, He will bring the person into my space.
You were available for Dr. Uvie. It's not for every. You are available for 87 out of 88. Babe, you are hard. I like you. Dr. Uvie, question for you. Yeah. How do you know that you are ready to love again? Like, how do you think? Okay, and that's for you. And like a general question, how can somebody who's gone through loss know that they're ready to love again?
I think that question is very valid. It's there's no hard and fast rule. It will vary for different people. I think it was, to me, I think all it was a work of grace inside my heart. The seasons I spent in prayer with God alone, I think God did something inside, because I wasn't, months before that, I wasn't ready. As in, I was, in fact, just thinking about it made me cringe. But I discovered that my heart began to change in that line. And it must have been the work of God inside my heart. I can't really, and I knew inside me that I'm ready for this.
Wow.
Again.
Wow.
And it's that's the best way I can put it. I can't really. Nobody can determine when anybody's ready. And nobody can put any hard and fast rule to say, wait for 2 years, wait for 12 months, wait for 18 months. It will depend on the person and how the healing process has taken place in his heart. And I think I'll leave it like that. Yeah. It's
You know why I'm asking that, Brigue, both of you, because I've heard people judge people a lot, like what Olawunmi just said now about not feeling needy. You know, not so some people. So there are people that are already doing well in life, and then they're afraid of doing well because then he will not come. But I just love what you said. Then the right person will come. Finish. We won't be looking at Jack, Tom, and the tabulero. It will just be Uvie. Finish.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know,
I completely agree. I think one of the guiding principles, scriptures of my life was the scripture kept ringing in my head in terms of not rushing into anything. The Bible says that it is better to dwell in the corner of the rooftop, right? The rain is beating you, as in, than to stay in a mansion with a contentious woman or man. To be in a contentious marriage where no peace of mind. Every prayer point, God, this mind.
You're
it's
right.
better to be by yourself, right? And just to be, I know that culture tells us otherwise. And it is culture that pushes people into marriages that otherwise, if given the choice and the pressure was not a factor, they had seen these things in the person, they would not have chosen that person.
And you know, there is nothing worse. I mean, oh God.
It's I think after the process of salvation, a wrong marriage decision is the worst thing a person can do. Yeah.
Okay, so let me just drink water on that one. 1 second. Let me drink water on that. But okay. So both of you are married. You know, we're now moving the story, pushing it forward. But now you're coming with a 12-year-old.
Yes,
you're coming with a 12-year-old daughter. So you've been parenting by yourself, or, you know, not in a marriage setting, let's put it that way, because I'm not sure what the circumstances. And then you're also coming in with a 5-year-old. Please, this is hers, and ours. How did you, like, I need like some practical things here.
It was tough. And that's the truth.
Really?
It was tough. It was tough because, as I alluded to in the beginning of this talk, we were coming, even though, and that's the wonderful thing about it. It's it doesn't, even though, like I said, 87 things in terms of compatibility, but when the Bible says iron sharpens iron, it really means that there will be friction because you're coming with your own iron. This person is coming with their own iron. Now bring the two together. In your own right, you're beautiful, wonderful people. But then by the time you bring the two of you together, your flaws and your weaknesses and whatever, it might not even be weaknesses, it might just be different ways of seeing things and doing things, which was the issue that we had. The way that I had been doing my own things worked for me, and I was very successful with them. The way that he was doing his own things worked for him, and he had been very successful. Now, what's going to give? Is it my way or your way? And that was what really caused the conflict, particularly with parenting, because I'm like strict. I'm a teacher, so I don't take all this. You can cry blood if you like. If I say do the thing, after you finish crying the blood, you come and do it. So because I'm a visionary. I can see into the future. I can see that even though it breaks my heart to correct you and to see you feeling bad, but it's very easy for me to subdue that to the future, to say it is for your own good that I'm doing this. My husband had a different parenting style. My husband is more like a bit cushy.
Dr. Uvie, like me, please share with me your parenting style. You and I, we are the same.
It's not cushy. It was, like you said, it was quite tough. It was quite tough because, to be honest with you, I must allude that she has insights. She's got wisdom. Sometimes I wonder. I said, where on earth did you get this kind of wisdom? Honestly, I'm my husband. I'm saying this. She has this kind of insight that she just knows things. But I wonder, I'm older than you now, probably. anyway. So basically, I began to discover, that there were lots of flaws. I had a different parenting. My parenting style was, I want to find out the reason why you are doing what you're doing. She will find out the reason why, but she will first of all put the measures, the punitive measures, to actually curtail that behavior. Then we can be doing the reason why later. You understand? So it was. So we learned from experience that you can combine both. So because I felt no, let's just find out the reason why. But without the punitive measures, it won't work. You put the punitive measures, just like if there was no law, sin would have gone rampant. Before grace came, there had to be law to stop people from going haywire. Then grace will now come and correct the fault. Meanwhile, but the law had to stop them from going haywire.
So if not, law.
She's law.
I'm not law.
You are grace.
It works perfectly. Wait. Then, so we began to, because God blessed me so much, with the fact that she's. I just wonder sometimes, why on earth did you agree to marry me? Because you are so full of wisdom, so full of. I'm serious. I'm saying this. I think about this. Why on earth that God must love me so much? So, based on her teaching skills, based on how she's raised the 12-year-old, she has insight. She was able to see the gaps, which I couldn't even see. Because Maxine wasn't perfect, but Maxine had gone to a point where she trained her well. You understand? My son too was growing up, and she was able to help me see, the areas I need to make adjustments in those parenting skills. Wow. I must say that, because, and both of us together were able to see, look, this thing is about the child's future. So I know your style is to find out the reason why, but
you say that's well put it.
But we have, but with these punitive measures, we have to be on the same page, regarding the style. We have to be on the same page. So
the main, like my husband said, we had my way, you had your way. When I did my way, he would be like, but when he was doing his way, me would be like,
Yeah.
So we had, I think for me, the turning point was when God showed me. He began to show me that you are different for a reason. I'm not stupid. God was showing me that I'm not stupid though. You think I was blind when I put the two of you together. Right? You are strong where someone is weak, and you're weak where somebody is strong for a reason. God said, I planned it that way so that when you come together, that is the only way you can become a threefold cord with me, and you cannot be broken. Because if you are both strong in the same things and you're both weak, there's a weak link. Satan will come and eat your lunch and pop the bag.
Yeah.
And he began to show me that what you think is a strength, because from the place of strength, it's very easy to point fingers and to judge. But if you understand that your strength is not to judge, your strength is to lend support. And your weakness is not to condemn yourself, your weakness is to receive strength. So we came to that point where we agreed and we sat down and we discussed this. And I said, let us bring the truth together, and this parenting will be on point. So your own sort of gracie kind of loving kindness kind of thing with my own, like the discipline and the routines and all those things. If we put it together, imagine how those children will be.
Yeah.
And that's what we began to do. Obviously, there were times where you feel you're like, no, you must. You forget. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
But then if I'm doing something and he's looking at me, I can read his body language that he's like, it's enough now. We'll come back and we remind ourselves that, remember, this is the agreement. So we decided when one person is displaying their own parenting skill, the other person backs them 100%.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, if I'm being like very tough and I say no, you shouldn't have done that, and I'm saying no TV, no that, he will back me. And if he goes to his own parenting style and I say, okay, let's discuss, let's talk about, even though inside me I'm like, which discussion are we having? I'm going to back him 100%.
Right.
And I found out that's how you resolve conflicts. You have to see the person has something they brought to the table as well.
Right.
Conflict develops when you have two people that are seeing things differently and neither one is willing to come to the other side.
Right.
You see from that person's perspective.
Wow. I'm loving this because I really think that you're setting people free. I mean, God is using you to set us free in terms of, I like what you just said about backing the other person up, because, I mean, clearly my husband and I are like both of you different. I think I'm Grace. He's like, hey, madam, put low. Put low, because as I'm seeing this, your 5-year-old, she's getting that you are soft. So I know, and I like what you said, that I'm weak it just means I need to receive strength, and doesn't mean that, and you can be weak in different aspects of the home life. That's so powerful. And I like that God is a wise investor, isn't he? He won't put two people who are on the same, but you back each other up 100% so that works. Okay, so now let's go to your marriage now. So both of you, because I'm very curious about how Maxine and her brother, and I keep saying her TJ, how your children, how did they
bond,
accept both? Like, how did they flow into this merger?
Okay.
First of all, yes.
TJ, I mean, I think because TJ was younger, so
before that too, what did we do?
That's what
before we even got married.
The confession.
Yes.
So we dealt
with the foundation of anything is spiritual.
Yes. So
one of the things, because and I teach these things, I say the law of anticipation. You're going into a marriage, you can see that there will be two children that have not lived together in the same house that are coming together. So we saw in advance that there potentially could be problems.
Yeah.
Right.
So instead of waiting until the problems happen, we basically went and we started to pray. So leading up like probably a couple of months or more longer into our marriage, we went to God and we got scriptures and we're praying and we're declaring that God will knit our hearts together.
Yeah.
That He will knit the heart of the Father to the Son, and so on. That He will knit the heart with the love of God. That there will be an unusual spirit of unity. So we had already released spiritual energy into it.
Yeah.
That didn't now mean that, because the thing is, God would declare a word, there is grace that's available to be able to do it. And one thing that also helped us, which I think my husband was about to say, is from the beginning, when we decided there's no stepmother, stepfather, have this one, have that one. We decided that I have 2 children. My husband has 2 children.
Wow.
They are brother and sister. It is not half brother. No. So we decided that we're going to I treat Tejiri. Do you understand? So that's it goes a long way.
It does.
Because the thing is, if you still see this person as always, you want to overcompensate.
Yeah.
You want to do certain things that actually you think you're trying to do good, but at the end of the day, the child is seeing that this person is not treating me the same.
Wow.
So they will pick it up that I'm not the same. But if I treat this one this way and I treat you that way, not I don't want you to be upset. It's the same way I talk to you. It's the same way I'm going to talk to that one. The same way I love this one. It's the same way I'm going. The child is free to understand that. Okay, we're all in the same boat. Nobody's different here.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. There was no overcompensation. It was the same. I think is that it's that step thing. We decided, like she said, we're not going to do that. Two children, and that's how we went about it. Yeah.
And I think that also helped. So we reinforced that from the beginning. This is your brother, this is your sister, and everything. And anyone from the outside that wanted to do otherwise, we were like, no. There's no, this one is a child of this one. No. They are brother and sister. If you want to do something for this one, you do something for the other one too, because there's no difference between them as far as we're concerned.
Absolutely.
And we took that stand.
Yeah.
So, and training them to it took a while, obviously, to be your brother's keeper and your sister's keeper. So you're not roommates. You're not living in the same house. And then no. This is your brother. This is your sister, and that has helped a lot. Their own bonding.
Wow.
They have entered into their own. And it's a spirit of grace. I posted a picture a couple of weeks ago. A friend of mine DM'd me and was raving about the resemblance between the two of them, that there's no blood between them all. They said they look so much alike. When people see me, I say, oh, Maxine looks like, I'm like, there's no, in my mind, like, there's no blood. But there's something about if you commit it to the Spirit of God and allow Him, because He's the knitter of hearts. It says the heart of the king is the hand of the Lord. You can do external things, but there's a spirit of grace. God is interested in the unity of families. He wants people to be united together. So
wow. Ooh, guys. This is really deep. Like, I love it. No. Like, I'm even thinking about this, even in terms of people who have, so say, for example, Daniel and I have both had children, same blood. That prayer is actually quite important, that they love each other, that they're needed, that, like, they don't feel like this person is loved more. That's such a beautiful thing. Thank you for sharing that. Hey, thank you. Dr. Uvie, I'm going to ask you a very sensitive, in my heart is sensitive. I'm a very sensitive person, I think. But you can see people are saying foundation of everything is spiritual. I love that God knit our heart together. That's actually a prayer point I'm going to take away. So did you, I'm going to ask you anyway. So being a second marriage, right? Losing the first wife, and was that an adjustment in your heart? And you can answer it or not if you don't want to. That's also fine. In your heart, did you ever compare? Was there a problem in terms of compare? Because I'm always curious about that thing. When people...
Anticipation, I get what you're saying. But I think more like this. This is how God helped me.
Okay.
I look at it like this. Like I said, God showed me that your life is a book. And there are different chapters. All right. So chapter 1 was my first marriage. And this is chapter 2 of your life. And to be honest with you, inside my heart, there's been no room to compare. Do you know why? Because I see myself so privileged and blessed to have a second chance. That's how I see it. That, Father, thank you for giving me a second chance to actually love someone and to actually have a family again. So it's something that I carry with such gratitude and gravity. I feel as though, thank you again. You gave me a beautiful marriage the first time, and you give me a second chance to do this again. So I don't compare. I just feel like that was a phase. I learned a lot from that phase, and in this phase, all the lessons, all the shortcomings, I'm trying to adjust the way I was. I'm trying to make changes to make this second chance even more beautiful than the first. That's how I see it. So that's the way my mind has been, and I think there's another opportunity. But I thank you for this. I thank you for giving me the chance. There are people that lose their partners and never ever get this chance again. So I see it as a chance to actually be in this and to have someone this great again to actually build a life with and a future with. That's how I see it. So I haven't had the problem of comparing, to be honest with you, deep in my heart. I'm sincere about that. I haven't had
Great
compassion. Just
gratitude.
because this is a second chance. This is a gift, and a chance for me to live again. That's how I see it.
Wow. Ooh. Guys, don't you just love this couple? I just love both of you. Do you know, there's no way I've thought about that question, but I've never thought about such an answer. Like somebody will have such, that actually it's a second chance to love again, to do it again, do it maybe even better. Wow. So gratitude changes the story, actually. The attitude of gratitude changes the story. Okay, so when I do like that, I want to ask a very juicy question. So, Olawunmi and Dr. Uvie. So now we've talked parenting. I've done 1 hour with you. I'm going to go further. Guys, if you have any questions, although I'm winding down. So if anybody has any questions, this is the time. Please don't just listen and say it's deep. Please ask them questions because we'll soon go. So in terms of like things like, so you work, you're a doctor, Olawunmi was a teacher, and then she's now just a powerhouse and all of that. How have you both, what was like your biggest thing apart from like adjustment of parenting in marriage? Like what's that your practical, now what's that your so things like, like Wumi now was not necessarily answering to anybody. She was doing her own thing. You were trying to carry on with your life. But just in your marriage, how were you both now able to blend that? Knowing that their children, yes, you're starting the one back with kids. But how did you separate them and you? Because I'm sure there's a sort of separation where both of you are kind of building your own relationship apart from them. Makes sense? That's not what I'm asking you.
You go first.
I'll answer from my perspective. It's like I said, it's assignment. And when I say assignment, I've always seen it as an assignment that God wants to do certain things through both of us as a unit in His kingdom, in establishing His kingdom on the earth. So, and we didn't go into that, but I think the fundamental thing in any marriage is to have the same core spiritual values. I mean, that's my opinion. It's not. I mean, my opinion. This is my opinion. Is that?
What's your opinion, Dr. Uvie? What's your opinion?
I think people should come from the same spiritual heritage as.
Right.
What I mean is the way they interpret and understand the scripture, the belief systems. Okay. And the way they practice truth must be similar. I think it's so fundamental. For example, if I wake up in the morning, I say, I'm groaning in the spirit, I'm praying in the spirit. But please, that noise, stop that noise. I beg, what are you doing there? That noise you're making, please stop it. You're disturbing me.
Right.
Or I say, I want to confess the word, about something, and the person doesn't understand. It's a Christian, but doesn't understand. It's addition. And Christianity is the way you believe is the core of your being. So if that is missing, it's going to be a real issue. That's my opinion. But because we have that, I don't need to be too far from the beginning. I mean, because we have the same spiritual heritage, the same understanding, the same way we understand and interpret truth. I believe that is the core that has helped us. So if there's a challenge here, we know what to do.
Yes.
So there's a challenge like in the bedroom, there's a challenge with how somebody's looking, there's a challenge with the cooking. It's this kind of challenges I'm looking for.
We know what the baseline is.
Yes, we always.
But I do.
The others, the sort of not so okay for like.
Sorry, allow me 1 second. But to be honest, I do. And what you're saying is quite fundamental because it's important that people link you connect spiritually, emotionally, before we're not connecting in the bedroom. Hey,
like okay. Resonance, isn't it? Resonance, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that has been like you said, the fundamental reason why we dealt like we gelled even, people might think it was a very short courtship. So we gelled, we carried that into the marriage. And we also knew that even if things are going a little bit weird, you know that at some point the Holy Spirit will say, what are you doing? What are you doing? And the person will listen. The other side of that, the more practical stuff, is in terms of our marriage, we what's the thing? Like, no, as in, well, boundaries. Boundaries is a big thing in our home. Right?
Really?
This is my husband, as in, this is your father, but it's my own husband. So if I want to talk, I want to talk to my husband, hang out with my husband by myself. I don't care who you are. No, you're not coming with us. You're not. So it's like, otherwise, if we didn't have that, we came with children. Do you understand? So the whole gelling, couples that marry, no kids, they might say, oh, let's wait a year to bond and everything, or gel. They have that, but we didn't have that. It was straight with kids. So we had to put boundaries in place. We had to put boundaries in place to give us an opportunity to bond by ourselves. So almost like this is our own space, no kids, nothing like that, just us within the context of our own family. That was also very key for us.
So how did you do that? Because people, okay, let me just show you a few things that people are saying, like, very true, you must have similar, and there's a question here. There is a question here, but I want to ask you, this says, what do you say to couples who seem unequally yoked? I'm sure that means like, maybe, so sometimes unequally yoked doesn't even mean they're not of the same faith.
Yeah.
They could be unequally yoked in their perspective to life.
Yeah.
So I want you to answer that. But before you do that, so give me a practical thing around boundaries. Because even people with who didn't have children, you still, I mean, my kids, they even ask me, why did you marry that guy? I'm like, which guy? You're like, you love your husband more than us, right? I'm like, yes, I do. And when you're older, you'll thank mommy and daddy for loving themselves more than they love you, whatever you think that means. Okay? You're third. It's God, my husband, then it's you guys. But it's both of you.
Yes.
But I'm asking you guys practically, how do you, because people get married in 9 months, they have a baby.
Okay. One very practical thing is, for example, bedtimes.
Okay.
Space.
Yeah.
Space. Even though it was, 6 years difference. So obviously, I think when
No.
we had to tell the whole world.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Uvie. I love you. Thank you. It's TJ and Maxine.
Yes.
Daniel and I are 5 years, so don't worry. Yeah, the same. We're 5 years.
So the bedtime was, I think, when we got married, I think PJ was 7:30 or 7. I can't remember. He was 4 also, or thereabout. Maxine was she was in secondary school, so it was probably 8. I don't remember. But basically, it did not pass a certain time. It didn't pass 8 o'clock. Right. You go to bed so that me and my husband, we have space.
That's it. We have to do
None. It's not like, no. You go. Once you are going, you're going. Bye bye. And we had that space. Even if we didn't like, okay, now the kids are gone. Let's talk. Let's whatever. Even if he's on his phone, I'm on my. It doesn't matter. It's just the idea of a couple. I'm free to be with my husband. Is free to be with me. That's one very practical thing. That's one thing that I see regularly in families where the kids are, from the moment they wake up to the moment everybody just crashes and sleeps, there's no space. It can't just be date night. Date night, that's like once a week or something where you go. Every day you should have some space to yourself whereby you can actually talk, have conversations, because those are the things that tend to go very quickly. Absolutely. And once those things go, you will notice that all your conversation will revolve around the kids. or who is picking this one up? Okay, what are we having for dinner? And have you looked at his? You will not have anything in common apart from the kids.
We're going to grow apart, isn't it?
Precisely, because they're always in your space. That's one practical.
Wow. I like that. I really do. I like that. So both of you tell me, if you're unequally yoked. Okay, Olawunmi is already looking at you, Dr. Uvie. How do we help us unequally yoked?
Well, unequally yoked, like you said, it could be either they could be Christians, and just the way they process truth is different. So the scriptures clearly tell us. I mean, it's a tough situation. It can be frustrating. Make things harder. You know, I've had experiences with that with a few of my friends. It will take one party has to take the room and sort of bear the more mature party the brunt of it in the initial phase. I think, because one party has to step down and take it as a project, as it were, almost like a faith project. You know, where you, for example, I mean, the more mature party would take it as a faith project and sort of go to the scriptures, like everything, you know, it's a faith project basically. Go to the scriptures, find out the things that God has promised regarding the kind of home you want, and start declaring it. That's what you do. And start declaring it, and you know, stay there with it until, because I've discovered in those situations that trying to enforce what you believe, trying to enforce what you think, usually worsens the situation, to be honest with you. The best way I've seen is to take God's word and, you know, begin to confess it, and as much as possible, you have to forgo many of the things you really think you should be doing, as in humbling yourself and sort of giving in to the other party in the context of truth, you know. So that's what I think.
I think also, if you know, if you can find the common point. If you can find the common point. So, for example, you know, let's say a typical scenario where the woman is the only one that prays, the guy, so maybe you are praying. You know, the guy, you know, he doesn't really want to know. He may not go to, he's a Christian, he's born again, but he maybe doesn't really go to church. The woman is one that goes to church, the woman is one that prays. I find that to be quite common. And it is very easy, as you were saying, to come to a place where you feel like I'm the more spiritual. So it's only because this person is not doing it the way I'm doing it, they're not, you know, we come from a place of judgment and we try and force the person with our words and with our actions to come to our side. But one thing that I've seen actually over and over again is this: have a common goal. So let's say, for example, the kids, you want to believe God for the kids to maybe go to a particular school. The husband, even if he's fast spiritually, he wants his students to do well, right? So you can come together and say, this is what we agree. If you believe that, you know, I should just take in prayer, you're saying, let's just pray about it, and I say he doesn't want to answer, you leave him. You don't have to force him. I believe that it takes one. It takes one. You go and do, you understand? But what I also notice that if you are willing to take that position and be the person that commits to it, somehow when they see it, I've seen this, I cannot explain it. The other person they become drawn. It's almost as if you yield yourself to God, and then they begin to see, and somehow without you actually nagging them and chasing them, the interest. I've seen this happen so many times where the husband is not praying. The woman is saying, come and pray, he's not answering. After a while, she'll just say, I committed to God. She'll go and start praying. After a while, the guy will wake up and say, oh yeah, join her for the last 5 minutes, or extend it to 15 minutes. So if you remove the judgment, accept the person, don't because you can't. I read what I said, you cannot change anybody. It's not possible to change anyone. So basically saying, let me do what I'm supposed to do. Let me my own and I leave the other person to God. If I fulfill my own role, it's a seed that I'm sowing. And as I offer my seed, I know that doubtless I will come back rejoicing, because God will take my proper seed and He will bring me a harvest out of that situation. Because you can't, it's frustrating. You can't change somebody. And you can even you can be same spiritual heritage. I just said an example. But in terms of the way of thinking in certain areas, you are unequally yoked.
Yeah. So, for example,
different ways of parenting.
True.
We didn't agree. And it caused a lot of conflict. But eventually we decided that, okay, my own way is not better than yours. Just because I'm doing it this way does not make me superior to you.
Right.
And when it came to that place of humility, there was no way out. It was always conflict.
Wow. So I'm going to take this last question. Both of you, I'm telling you, you've dropped so many nuggets. You're telling us, don't fight the other person. You do what you know is right. They will come through. Just relax. It will work out. At least, like Dr. Uvie was saying, somebody has to be mature. Olawunmi is saying, somebody just carry on and do this thing. So I've got this question, and maybe we'll end on this last question, and then you give us your practical, just a final word, and then, it's been so lovely. Yeah, relax. And I've gone over an hour because I don't know when next I'll have this opportunity. So please bear with me, everybody. Since both of you were financially independent before you got married, how were you able to sort that aspect out? Thank you. That's my older sister, by the way. So yeah, thanks.
So as in, we were each doing fine financially.
Okay, yeah.
So sort it out as in how? But
I like that. Sort it out as in how. See synergy, people. Okay, sort it out as. Okay, but was that an issue? Because I mean, it was your money. It was his money.
And then how do you
money? Now, financially, we're now. So let's just quickly do finance for.
I'll leave her to talk about that.
Okay. So, I think the reason why it was not an issue is because my husband has this. My husband sees himself. I know that people say the husband should be provider and everything or whatever. But my husband sees himself as he takes on this responsibility that he must provide for his family.
Oh wow!
Do you understand? That he must provide for his family, no matter what or anything. So even me coming from I was financially independent in the sense that I was working and I was investing and things like that. There was an assurance. There was I think when you come into that kind of space where you know that there's no pressure, it's easy. So for example, the money was each other's money. We didn't do, even though I was
your money is our money.
I have to spend his body. Was I spending your money?
A lot.
That's why we are just walking, doing anesthesia, punching people. People are spending your money. God will forgive you.
He would whatever I was making from the beginning, it just went into the pot. It just went into the pot, and we used it for whatever it is we needed to use it for. That was mindset. I think we actually talked about it. I think we had a conversation like that. Your money is my money is your money. That's how it is. So I think that helps. So if for when I started my business, for example, there was I could rest because I knew that it's not going to be like wait, hurry up and make money or whatever it is, because it's like, listen, just focus on what you're doing. As long as it takes, build a solid foundation. Don't worry about the finances. And it releases you to be able to say, okay, let me really cut corners and do this thing properly so that you can yield results later on, which it did. So
I like your answer. Do you know what I liked about this? Dr. Uvie, did you want to say something? Yeah?
No, I just want to say that I think the best gift you can give a woman, talking about is a gift of independence.
What do you mean by that?
Independence in the sense, if you can release them to actually do what is really, really in their hearts to do. The fact that they are married does not mean they should lose their identity.
Yeah.
That's the best gift you can give a woman, to express herself fully, to liberate her completely, and to allow her to live independently in the context of what she feels she wants to do in her heart. So if you can give her that, I think that's the greatest gift you can give a woman.
I hear you and I agree with you. You know, as you said that, I just thought about my pastors when I was growing up, Pastor Taiwo and Pastor Bimbo, late Pastor Bimbo Dukoya, like classic example. I got there at 16. I left there and got married. So I went into marriage also with that mindset of just being me. Do you know, every time I'm not myself, Daniel is like, I married you for this. Why are you not eccentric? Why are you not crazy? This is what I like. Why are you be you? I resign. Like it's like I agree with you. A woman who's allowed to be herself is such a gift. And I think the same also extends to the man, that we as women also allow them to be. Look, I was watching your face as Olawunmi was talking, and I could just see the sense of pride in your face. But yes, that's my wife. She gets it that I'm taking care of her. Can you see? Well, she looks, she's a fine girl now. You know, okay, she's always been. Well done. Did I make you blush? Okay, on this note, we are coming to the end of, but I just want to show you people's comments. That's, you know, you can't force people, don't be judgmental. This is my older brother. I always like to show my siblings are always so supportive. My sisters are here, my brothers. Accept the person, but there's a big one that I actually don't want us to forget, what you said about boundaries. I think that for me, it's also another thing that I want to take away from here. Bedtime, so people can have space and grow together. That's so important. By the way, you know, this has been so insightful. Tolu Oyeko, yay! Thank you. She's been here. She's been saying hi, POPU, you know. Yeah. Okay. We're coming to the end of this amazing conversation. And I want to thank both of you. I really, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank both of you for your authenticity, for just sharing your life with us, your life, you see, with us. Because I see both of you as one. You're talking to each other. There's a lot of love and romance going on this set. You know, oh, Daniel, where are you? So I really want to thank you. Daniel also just leaves me to do all my things. Then we talk about it afterwards. Yes. Okay, Tolu. All right. Tolu is talking about mentoring. Okay. Yes, please follow us on YouTube, everyone. Please do. But I really want to thank both of you, honestly, for sharing, for being very open. And both of you are obviously highly spiritual people. And the truth is that everything rises and falls on spirituality. So that's the truth. Right. Everything in life is spiritual. And so for me, there's a lot of takeaways. There's so much I'm taking away from here. I'd like both of you to give us your final, like your last words, your last, whether practical, whatever, to us, and then I will round off and we can go. Yes. Over to the Brigue.
Oh my first house. Okay. I God told me one thing that I always try to remind myself when it comes to marriage. Said that, one of the greatest gifts. So I'll talk about two things. One of the greatest gifts you can give your spouse is acceptance, because it's so easy to judge. Accept them. How would God, when you wake up in the morning and you want to worship God, does he say, look at you want to worship me? How dare you come into my presence? That God compared to us, we're a billion miles away in terms of how holy he is and how Jonathan, in terms of character, his way, he has a right to judge, but he chooses not to. It is by acceptance. It says the love, the kindness of God brings about repentance. So acceptance is a big one. Not acceptance to say that what you're doing is correct, but to say, listen, this is where you are, and I'm not going to judge. I believe that by the grace of God, we are growing together. And I believe that when people feel accepted, they actually open up. They otherwise they just shut. And the second one with kids, the kids is the greatest gift you can give to your children is not education, is not this one or that one or extracurricular. It is to bring them into a personal relationship with God. And I don't just mean get them born again. I mean teach them to know God. Because when you are not there, and you will not always be there, that is the only thing that is going to hold them up.
I'll end with this.
Thank
my
you.
father is 92. He's been married for over 60 years, almost 70 years. He told me something years ago which has never left me. He told me that marriage, this is his definition of marriage. Marriage is you split a man into two, you put a woman inside him, and you close him back. So he said, when God said, live to cleave, there's a spiritual miracle that takes place. When you said I do as a Christian, there was a joining. You're not separate anymore. There's a unit. There's something that happens. It's not a legal contract. It's something that takes place. It's not just by signing documents. There's an actual joining. That cleave means to cement together. So anything you do to her, you're doing to yourself. Anything you do to him, you're doing to yourself. So once you understand that's why it says, who has hated his own flesh? It's part of you. So the way you treat her is the way you're doing it exactly to yourself. That's why I said it's not man that joined, it is God that did the joining, as it were. It actually happens. A miracle that took place when he said I do. Like miracle takes when he gets saved. So he split the man into two and put the woman inside her. So if the man does anything to the woman, he's doing it to himself. And the woman does anything to the man, she's doing it to herself. That's what I'll do.
Thank you so much, guys. Dr. Uvie, Olawunmi, my darling sweetie pie, thank you. Thank you very much to both of you for an amazing time with us. I'm so thankful. This has really been worth the 1.5 hours. It's really been good. Thank you. Thank you. And God bless you both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So guys, as they leave, and in 1 second they will wave bye-bye, but 1 second, everybody. Next week we're having the Akunas, and they're going to be talking to us about sex. So it's going to be bedroom makeover. That's all those guys talk about: intimacy, sex, all of that. So please make sure, same time next week, 8 p.m. South African time. I'm a Josie girl. That's 7 p.m. UK time, Nigeria time. So I want you, please tell your friends and family. We are going on and on throughout August. We're going to have a fantastic time learning more about marriage. I think on behalf of the Uvies, Uvies, did you see that? The Uvies, on behalf of Capacity Growth Consult, on which I'm doing this, which is a family wellness and development support enterprise, would like to say thank you to both of you for being here. Ronke, all of us are really grateful for your wisdom. May your marriage continue to get better, stronger, and much and more beautiful. Guys, we are on our way. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day, and God bless you. Let's wave to them. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye.